1, 2, 3, 4! From the Riffs! Hey, welcome back to From the Riffs. We're on day 2 at the Palladium Open House. Those of you who couldn't make it, man, you're missing out. Anyway, I'm talking to my friend here, Brandon Aten, and I got Carmen Belair behind the camera.
Hello.
And I'm Big Will Johnson, but you guys already knew that. And Brandon here is a writer, and we're going to get to know him a little better, find out what he's been working on, maybe even get some tidbits about what's coming up on the horizon. And, well, away we go. So tell us a little more about yourself, man.
All right, Will. My name's Brandon Aten. I've been writing with Palladium since about 2006. It's Rifter 28. I've done a number of projects for Palladium. Did a lot of Rifter stuff. Rifter 28, Rifter 31. At that point, I'd really gotten into a rhythm and started doing some things such as work on Mad Haven, which led into some other projects as I went on, such as Tri-X 2. We'll go into some of that. I bet Will has some questions for me.
Absolutely.
But I was also able to do a couple internships with Palladium throughout the years when I was in graduate school, and that was a really great experience. So I've had a great history with Palladium, and I've loved every second of it.
Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess the first thing to ask you is, what's your working process like? Are you the kind of guy like do you rely heavily on inspiration, or do you just kind of take the task at hand? You know, you worked on Mad Haven, so I mean, I know that's kind of that's a horror thing, and so was there some great inspiration for that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well,
I know you also had a partner on that.
Yeah, and actually that's a great point. I worked with Taylor White on both Mad Haven and on Tri-X 2.
AKA the Rockstar?
Yeah, the Rockstar.
The Rockstar.
Yeah. And Taylor's a great guy, and he's a great writing partner. The things that we did in Mad Haven, for example, we wanted to take things that had been mentioned in canon. That's where we found our inspiration, but only a little blurb. So Mad Haven was mentioned at one point in the Rift's main book. We really liked that. It was a really weird, haunted place. Well, Taylor has always had a knack for horror movies and the horror vibe, and I really liked that. I, on the other hand, really wanted to focus on the Knights of the White Rose and a little bit of their history, and they're mentioned in the Federation of Magic, just a little small blurb in the Mystic Knight entry in that OCC. So we wanted to take these two elements of pre-established blurbs in canon, flesh them out, and just so happens that we could merge them together.
Oh, cool.
Now, inspiration for that, you mentioned that. I like to find inspiration in the real world, strange places, strange things that are just maybe out of place or out of time.
So you're a bit of a paranormal buff then?
Yeah, kind of like, well, for example, in Mad Haven, the Knights of the White Rose, at that point I was studying up in New Jersey, and I would go into the city, go into New York City very frequently, and behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art, there's this big stone obelisk, the Cleopatra's Needle. That's really cool. You're in middle of urban New York, and you get to see ancient Egyptian artifact just hanging out in the middle of Central Park. You go into the Metropolitan Museum of Art, you're walking around looking at the historical weapons, you're looking at beautiful paintings and sculptures. It's a wonderful place. You walk into a room, and there is literally a temple to Isis in the middle of the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Right, and if that's not inspiring...
If that's not inspiring for riffs, man, I'm doing something wrong.
You're right.
So it was beautiful, and it was a great inspiration.
Right.
Got to flesh
so
a lot of it together.
Are you from Jersey?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you were just traveling from that area. Okay,
I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, the city of Nostris in Riffs.
Right.
In the Federation of Magic. But I just happened to go up there for grad school for about 3 years, and it was a good experience.
Oh, excellent. So you're another educated writer. All right. So while you're working, describe your working process. Are you very methodical? Do you like to have some music running in the background? More importantly, for our run-on question, are you a daytime guy or a nighttime guy?
All right. Well, really writing, it all depends Primarily, though, I'm a nighttime guy. I could stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning just doing nothing but writing when the mood strikes. I'll go after work to a coffee shop or something like that. I really have to have something going on. Even in a coffee shop, sometimes I'll just put my headphones in and not actually have music playing just so people don't bother me. But I have the commotion around me. I need that. My wife kind of jokes around with me sometimes. She's like, "Why can't you just work at home?" And I'm like, "Because it's not a work environment. This is my comfort zone. This is home."
Wow, that's really interesting. You're the first guy that really said anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
You like to go to a public place.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I can't do it. I'll load up my bag with all my reference books, and as long as I have internet access, I'll make sure I can do something. But I was a music major in my undergrad career at University of Louisville, and so I really like to listen to classical music, things that are soothing or that maybe fit a theme. So, for example, I'm working on the Sovietsky source book now, and I'll sit there listening to the Red Army Choir sing in Russian the entire time while I'm writing this stuff.
I've often found that classical music itself, it was soundtrack music written for movies that hadn't been produced yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does it seem like that sometimes?
It does.
You're like, wow, did they know that, The Matrix was going to come out? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Even if you're reading a comic book,
Right.
sometimes it just blends so well.
A lot of that really goes into the fact that they're telling stories with what they have. They're telling stories with the notes and with the music, and it's fantastic. It's a very good motivation.
Right.
I know that even listening to movie soundtracks sometimes really helps. I know that that was something that Kevin really turned me on to when I was doing my internships here. I would be able to come in and he would have some CDs and say, "Yeah, just pick whatever you want." Stuff that I maybe had not heard before.
Yeah, he's got quite the extensive collection over here.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is, what would you say is your favorite stuff to actually write? Because although I know you kind of got your break doing horror stuff, I mean, what is your absolute favorite? I mean, if it was going to be your last project at Palladium, what would you write? What genre?
Wow, that's tough. Ultimately, my personal goal is to make Europe playable. So when it comes to genre, I don't really like getting nailed down, because that's why I love riffs so much, because it's pretty much everything in the kitchen sink. So I get the ability to write robots and technology and new skills and new classes, but dealing with magic and psionics or new equipment or monsters. I can do all of that, and I don't really have to focus on one thing because I'm kind of ADD. I can jump around to different things.
Right.
Another thing that I really like to do is splicers. I love splicers. My brother-in-law, Matt Orr, he helped me write our article for Rifter 50, describing a few new OCCs for splicers, some new biotech, and we're going to be doing some stuff in the future as well. I love the abilities that splicers allows. Carmen, you did a great job with that. It was fantastic, and really it just lets the mind run wild. So it was really, really cool.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say, man, that the ability to the ability and the freedom that Kevin actually allows the writers with a lot of letting our imaginations go. It's fantastic. It's unprecedented, I think. And I mean, I've worked for a couple other gaming companies, but being able to talk to Kevin, call him, or send him an email and say, "You know what? Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I want to do," and go from.
Speaking of talking,
yeah, I know, right? And fleshing that out and going back and forth and having him get as excited about an idea as we are. It's just awesome. It's a great experience.
That's that Palladium enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay, if you just give me very quickly, any advice you got out there for anyone else who wants to break into the gaming biz as a writer or otherwise?
Don't give up. Really, don't give up. Keep writing. I think a lot of people and who I've talked to at conventions really they'll say, "Okay, well, I wrote this. This is my baby. I've lived with this for a long time, and I've written it. I go and I market it around to, and I try to pitch it to different companies. And a company might not be interested, or might even provide feedback. And sometimes you don't want to hear that. Really, don't give up. Have thick skin. Go in with it with an open mind. Make sure that you can take that advice, take it to heart, and change, grow, and develop. If you don't do that, if you're going to stagnate, then you're really not going to develop.
Yeah, this is not the business for you.
Right. And if you can't take constructive criticism from someone like Kevin, or presidents and editors at other companies, if you can't look at your work with a critical eye,
you're probably in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right? All right, man. Well, Mr. Aten, been a pleasure.
Will, it's great. Carmen, thank you.
All right, man. Well, you guys know who I am, Big Will Johnson. And behind the camera, one more time, Carmen Belair, Mr. Aten. From the wrist. We'll see you guys later. Be sure to click those ads.
All right.
We got to pay for stuff. See you later.